Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and welcome back to the final part of the Megaman X commentary, where we've still got a fair bit, well, pretty much 2 stages left to go at this stage, but, final part, and we're gonna be taking down Sigma down for good. And what a journey we've had. All the trials and tribulations, losing Zero, defeating Vava. Is there no end to the killing? Just makes one want to ask, why do Reploids have to fight? But, yeah, to kind of, get in on the whole Maverick virus sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, the X-Series does sort of start to play off the whole thing as just being more of a computer virus. Again, initially starting with, as the skull logo implies, the Maverick virus being a product of Dr. Wily. Later on, it eventually starts getting attributed towards Sigma, which is, more to do with aspects of the game's ending, but, yeah. Later on, though, it does also become a matter of, well, Again, I mean, the more freedom you start to give towards robots, thinking and acting like humans and what have you, then also comes the prospect of, does free will innately cause, problems in a society? Or at least, in terms of, the whole wet brains versus dry brains thing of having a, computerized society completely structured by the logic of machines versus anything else. Interesting queries for another day, I suppose, because in the meantime we have Sting Chameleon going, wow. But yeah, by the time you pretty much get a fix on him using a Boomer Kawanga's weapon, and you go that way, and then you go that way, and then you go that way, and 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 that's pretty much why I'm leaving this one in pretty much to show you the alternate means of taking him down. I wanted to use the Hadouken, but as you're going to be seeing, much to my shame, I don't manage to pull it off against any of the bosses, but I don't know, I suppose in many ways that was my penance. I was able to get past the opening platforming sequence in Sigma Stage 1 pretty easily, but in exchange I couldn't Hadouken anybody. Life sucks. I want to say that I have been able to do it before against, bosses, but, yeah, sadly for the playthrough when I wanted to get it recorded, it was not meant to be. But yeah, to go back to the salient point I was making about Reploids, again, a lot of these in the original run, or at least for the earlier generation Reploids that you're seeing right here, it is more the result of a virus. I mean, again, they can think and feel on their own, but likewise, yeah, it's a wee bit pish. But again, that's more to do with, Reploids seen in X8 and whatever. I was so tempted to try and use one of my sub-tanks, and somewhat embarrassingly, I eventually tried to do such a thing by using all of my sub-tanks just to try and get a Hadouken on a Flame Mammoth, who's pretty much the last Maverick we're going to be fighting, but, yeah, it wasn't meant to be. But in any case, in lieu of not being able to Hadouken him, I decided to, well, pretty much give a Spark Mandrill an actual fight. I mean, I could have technically used the, Shotgun Ice, I suppose, but, I don't know. In all the playthroughs I've ever seen of Mega Man X, I don't think I've ever actually seen, well, at least out of the ones I've seen anyway, I don't think I've ever actually seen anybody fight Spark Mandrill fair. They pretty much just, like, stun-lock him with Shotgun Ice, and he doesn't even get to do anything, so, justice for Spark Mandrill? Excuse me, but there seem to be people outside. Paranoiac, so it seems. But in any case, that was a fair fight against Spark Mandrill. Probably, to my knowledge, the only time you'll probably ever see that, unless, of course, I don't know, on the off chance that somebody might be doing a blind run of Mega Man X and has the goal to choose Spark Mandrill before Chill Penguin. Although, I mean, even in that case, though, I mean, it's rare that I ever find anybody, like, doing a stage that isn't, Chill Penguin first. Are those fireworks going outside? What the fuck's going on? Well, I mean, again, to kind of give a bit of context, since I'm not sure you're going to be able to hear it. I mean, it is, Schoolies Week at present, which is basically, there is a celebration to say that, yeah, teenagers, enjoy your last stands of freedom before you eventually get your souls crushed by, the real world. But yeah, I guess that's probably why all the celebrations are abound, and, now I always have to deal with all those fucking kids! Oh, yeah, they're making me want to turn fucking Maverick. Yeah, well, don't worry, generations of the future, you shall enjoy your time in the processing facilities before your jobs are eventually replaced by the very Reploids that we are destroying today. Oh well. you're too young to live to see Neo Arcadia. Actually, as a matter of fact, we're all too young to even live towards the future of Mega Man X, so... yeah, who knows, really. I mean, after all, Mega Man X does take place in, you know, the 2100s, so, yeah, I mean, even as we're seeing now, like, I mean, you know, Mega Man Classic, I mean, that wasn't exactly sunshine and rainbows either, so, yeah. Look at all those beautiful items that are just there to tempt you. Extra lives, don't you want to get all those items, but they're insta-kill spikes. Sure, would be wonderful design if they decided to place some important items, like a heart tank, or, yeah, well, you know, some other aspects there. I sure hope Mega Man X2 doesn't do something like that, where you have to go through either a bullshit fucking speed bike segment, or, you know, utilize a suicide dive with the fucking speed burner. I desperately wanted to get a Hadouken on Flame Mammoth, and I think I technically do, it's just that he had his fucking invincibility flames up and... I'm angry. But at the very least, what I am going to show you with the Flame Mammoth is actually, you know, what happens if you use Boomer Kawanga's weapon to cut off his trunk. Again, he pretty much launches out an oil slick, and yeah, now that it's gone, he can't do that. And thus his attacks are pretty much listened to, well, pretty much just showcasing him just shooting fire and bouncing up and down, making craters in the ground. But in any case, that is the final Maverick that we have to destroy, and it's pretty much, well, I would say smooth sailing from here on out, but, yeah, as we're about to be seeing, appearances can be deceiving. We pretty much have Dinosaurus Rex right here. It is technically possible to Hadouken this thing, and I only really know that because of, like, the angle that it gets into, just as it, you know, crosses into, you know, that little formation. If you Hadouken it, you know, right pinpoint accurate with the, you know, the head and everything, then, well, you're pretty much golden, dude. But, yeah, more than likely you're gonna get hit, so, just gotta be really careful. Which, again, it's a bit of a shame that I couldn't get to show off the Hadouken just to show how easily you can cheese some of the boss fights, but, yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you see any boss fights, you know, utilizing the Hadouken, you know, more adept than I, then, well, you'll see what I mean, but, I don't know. I guess in other aspects it is at least decent to show, you know, what some of the more legit strategies are, if you're unable to find the, you know, the Hadouken capsule that, you know, is pretty much there to break the game. I don't know. I mean, I'm sad, but I understand. Either way, though, I suppose to sort of elucidate on one last bit of trivia I have, you know, before we get to some of the more important things. Yeah, during Mega Man X2, actually, in regards to Zero, there was actually a wild idea being thrown around about Zero being a converted version of a role, altered for Dr. Wily, but that was cut for being too dark, which was... I believe it was from one of the producers of Mega Man X2, but, yeah, I mean, it kind of goes to show that, you know, these fucking cartoon jokers were pretty much just making up the story as they went along, and, you know, even in that case, like, you know, it pretty much just goes dividends to explain that a lot of the concepts they were playing with in terms of trying to make the story big and epic were, well, just that, very ideas that weren't very well developed on, until they got around to, like, some of the later X games, and even in that case, it's, very rough around the edges. I suppose that is part of the reason why they wanted to go ahead with the Maverick Hunter X remakes for Mega Man X, but again, by the time they got around to that, Mega Man X8 and all that, the series pretty much petered out, commercial and sales-wise, and, oh, that pretty much explains the mess that we're in now. I mean, even still, though, I mean, I can technically see why, like, I mean, Zero being a converted role, I mean, the blonde hair, having a sort of relationship with Mega Man, I can sort of see that, but, I don't know. I mean, I can see why it's a bit too extreme, but at the same time, there was also this, like, really dark Brazilian comic book adaptation of Mega Man that, also did some rather dark, disturbing things with roles, so, yeah, I wouldn't be too out of left field, but, I stay my tongue on that, because now, we encounter Sigma.
Welcome. I see you managed to get here by yourself. Very impressive. I could destroy you, but I would not deprive my pet of that pleasure. He knows how to deal with betrayers. Should you live, I will be waiting for you. Don't disappoint me, X.
So, can I Hadouken Velgarder? My last chance? The answer is no. But yeah, Velgarder is pretty much, well, it's simultaneously a prelude and the first phase of Sigma's boss fights. He pretty much sends his attack dog at us. But yeah, his weakness is Shotgun Ice, or you can pretty much Hadouken him immediately, and then Sigma comes back going, holy shit, that was fast. Yeah. I mean, even then, it was still pretty fast anyway, but acquished.
Excellent job, X. I see why Zero counted on you. You are almost as good a hunter as I was. But the time of your destruction has arrived. You shall regret ever having defied me.
And now we get what is technically the first appearance of the Z-Saber. A weapon that's used by Sigma. A little bit later on, famously used by Zero, and yeah, even X himself in X3, and I believe X6, he technically gets to use the Z-Saber as well as one of his weapons, so yeah, pretty iconic weapon of the series that's pretty much just a rip-off of the fucking lightsaber, really. Well, I mean, then again, I'm sure laser swords probably existed long before George Lucas thought about combining samurais and, you know, traditional, you know, round table knights and whatever shit, but yeah, well, it's difficult to think about otherwise. But then again, this thing did also rip off Boba Fett, so who knows, really. Then again, look, it's... Actually, hang on, Sigma predates Buzz Lightyear, so technically, Buzz Lightyear's design rips off Sigma. God, what a conga line of rip-offs. Yeah, in any case, so, I'm pretty much just firing at him with my Buster because I can't remember what his weakness is at present. I want to say it's the Electric Spark, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, either way, Sigma's pattern, again, even though I am pretty much getting my ass licked every which way and sideways, does have a pretty predictable pattern if you just jump up the roof and pretty much have him, like, do his little wall jump thing. Yeah, I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, since, again, he was pretty much Dr. Kane's original creation based on Mega Man X's specs, so yeah, I guess you should have studied the blueprints a little bit more closely. And kind of speaking of Dr. Kane, though, not to take away from Sigma's rather paltry boss battle, yeah, we do technically get to see Dr. Kane, but only really in X2 and 3, and he is mentioned here and there, but he never appears after those two games, which is odd. You would have thought he would have had a bit more of a presence in this series. Much like Sigma's final form here, which is... looks to be a giant version of Velgarder. I don't know whether that was meant to be intentional, but yeah, kind of odd. I do have to wonder whether or not it was meant to be like a bizarre parallel with Dr. Kane at the very least, you know, him taking influence from the likes of, you know, Dr. Light's research and sort of, well, there's no real nice way to put it, to sort of copy it, because I guess probably based, I'm sure, you know, the exploits of Megaman at least would have been known as, you know, one of the precursors to Reploids or whatever, so, I don't know, Sigma was meant to be Kane's Megaman, and this and Velgarder meant to be a very warped, disturbing version of Rush. I don't know. I mean, again, there is the whole idea that, you know, Dr. Light saw, you know, Mega Man and Rollus as surrogate children, so to speak. You know, in lieu of the fact that he didn't have his, Yasuhiro, I believe his name was? Yasuhiro Hikari. You know, eventually giving birth to Lan Hikari, and, Hub Hikari that eventually became that version's Mega Man.exe. I was speaking about Battle Network specifically, but anyway, to talk about this boss fight, this can be a bit of a pain in the ass, particularly if you don't have, any of the upgrades and you're pretty much just going at it as your basic Mega Man. But, yeah, Rolling Shield is pretty much your savior in this case, but, yeah, there are exploits, particularly if you happen to, you know, stand right on the edge of, Velgarder's paw, so to speak, which is pretty much just sort of playing out like a 2D version of, you know, that one boss fight from Sonic 3D Blast. But yeah, I believe if, you know, if you get Velgarder's hand, like, right up to the final form right up there, you can technically Hadouken the boss, but, yeah, I wouldn't try it. It's very easy to get yourself pipped and, squished here and there, so, yeah, you're pretty much at this thing's mercy. But, I mean, on the whole, though, decently challenging final boss fight, and, yeah, you know, you have a generous hitbox, so nothing too bad, really. It's just a matter of, making sure that you have enough rolling shield armor to pretty much withstand the pain. But, you cheeky cunt. You just can't let it go, can you? You just desperately want to use the Hadouken, but you can't give up. Well, I mean, then again, I suppose this was also my way of saying, like, you know what, fuck it, it's the last... I have some sub-tanks, this is the last possible chance I could have to do it, so I'll give it a shot. But I fail. And that makes me incredibly sad. There is also a Shoryuken in Mega Man X2, and, Honestly, after my experience here, I don't know whether or not I want to go after the Shoryuken if I ever end up covering Mega Man X2. I mean, then again, I have pretty much been making a habit as of late to play at least one Mega Man game per saga, so I don't know what I'll cover next. More than likely it'll probably be, Yeah, I really don't know, but I'll probably save that for a later date. I don't really plan on covering Mega Man anytime soon. This is just really a Christmas relaxing sugar-me-do for the time being, really, so... yeah, whatever. Goodbye, Sigma. He lied. In 7 other games.
No, it's not possible. I'm a Reploid. I can't be destroyed by you. Why, X? Why have you done this to us? Without the humans, my Reploid brothers could have ushered in a new age!
And thus Sigma is dead for good. And Mega Man sits there watching Castlevania crumble. I don't know. But yeah, this is, the end, pretty solemn ending to a otherwise great game, really. Although, unfortunately, it's the sort of ending that... well, I mean, at the very least, the other SNES games would try and sort of copy and paste. It's like, the war has ended once and for all. Peace has been restored, but those who sacrifice themselves will never return. And, yeah, I mean, it does try and play itself up for, like, a bit of, like, solemn, like, the war is over, but everybody who still suffered is still gonna be, you know, reeling from the losses that they suffered. And, it's a bit of a copy and paste ending that every single Mega Man X game would continue to purvey. I mean, again, it does make sense given the whole, you know, tensions and war against, you know, Reploids versus the humans. It does make sense, but it just gets a little bit played out. I mean, X1, you know, it makes perfect sense. The X series does try and develop the story in parts to give it a little bit more meaning, but they never really fully accomplish that, so it just... whenever you reach endings like this, it pretty much continues to go, why do Reploids have to fight? Which just gets tiresome by the time of X3, and even when they did try and spice up the story here and there with X4 and 5, it didn't work very well. I mean, X7 did try and add a few new things here and there, and X8 came close to, you know, getting there, but yeah, the series just sort of petered out, and that's pretty much that, really. It wasn't really until the Zero series where they really sort of capitalized on some of that momentum, and even in that case, you know, it didn't quite hit the big success that, you know, Mega Man Classic and the X series had, so yeah, chances of people having a big impact on the series is slim to none, really. And even less so for the likes of, you know, ZX, Legends, and other subsects. Regardless of how popular they are within the fanbase, to the gaming scope at large, it's just X and Classic. But otherwise, though, yeah, that was Mega Man X. Very solid game. It's very easy to slip in, pick up and play, and again, if you're looking to get into the X series, like, I don't think there's really any barrier to entry. It's simple, pretty easy to, you know, jump in and pick it up with its simplicity. I mean, again, the story, for as simple as it is, and compared to a lot of other X games, actually works rather nicely. And, yeah, overall, I think it's worth playing. I mean, it's got enough depth, it's got exploration. Quite frankly, I'd recommend it. Pick up the X Legacy Collection. I mean, you at least have, when you have one great game, and you have, 2 okayishly, if flawed games with Mega Man X2 and 3, and then you have X4, which is bland, but, solid enough gameplay-wise for a bit unremarkable. In loving memory of Chill Penguin. Let's completely forget the fact that I completely whiffed his name in part 1 by calling him Club Penguin. God, I really fucking hate my memories sometimes. I don't know, I got it from my dad, who got it from his dad, who probably got it from his father before him. It's just a thing that runs in our family to eventually forget people's names. I don't know why. Thank you, Nominee. But in any case, though, yeah, that was Mega Man X. Again, it was a great game that spawned, it spawned what should have been a great series, but only really has 2 great games in X1 and X8. Has, 2 pretty decent games with Mega Man X4 and 5. Well, X5 debatably for some people, given the whole time and Navigator gimmick. I mean, X2 and X3, they're not terrible, but I don't know, could have been better. And then of course you have the likes of Mega Man X 6 and 7, which you should probably not touch with a 10-foot fucking barge pole and a cure for AIDS. Yes, me. I was Mega Man X, dun dun dun. But yeah, that's pretty much a brief prelude to my thoughts on the Mega Man X series as a whole. It should have been great, and it does occasionally reach that temple once, and at the very end of its lifespan. And, yeah. I mean, as for anything else, like the Mega Man X, the Extreme games, or, you know, Command Mission, or whatever else, that stuff I'm not really too sure about, so I pretty much have to experience that for myself, but... yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on the X series right then and there. In any case, though, as for anything else that's coming up in Skully commentary land, yeah, Jack and Daxter the Precursor Legacy will probably be up next year. What time that'll be, I'm not really too sure. I do plan on taking January off, so yeah, apart from maybe an Australia Day festivity, I'm not really too sure what else I'd really be doing, but yeah, that's pretty much all she wrote for that case. But yeah, Jack and Daxter after that. I have been thinking about covering Final Fantasy II as well, so, you know, something a little bit different. Yeah, I plan on next year at least having some games being a bit more differentialed from some of the past franchises I've been covering, just to, you know, add a little bit more variety to the channel, for lack of a better phrase, but, yeah. So hopefully the new year will bring more things to come in the wake of the death of Skully reviews, so to speak, and, yeah, on that note, I'm Solidus-Skully. Excuse me. I'm Solidus-Skully. Have a very Merry Christmas, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed this Mega Man goodness. Catch you dudes and dudettes next time, and well, Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year.
You have won a temporary victory, X. What you destroyed was only a temporary body. My spirit remains intact. In time, I will find other bodies strong enough to do my bidding, and I will return. I shall see you very soon.